Hello, my name is Dr. Sanchez. I'm actually a family medicine board certified physician, and I like to help people. I want to be able to educate everybody wherever they may be. And so today I want to talk about cow milk protein sensitivity. So what is cow milk protein sensitivity? Well, what happens is that the baby via the mom or breast through a formula feeding will actually have an inflammatory reaction in their intestines. This typically will occur between 2 to 8 weeks of age. And so what happens is that in the situation where the mom is breastfeeding, that the whatever consumption the mom has, so the mom has like a bowl of cereal, and that makes its way into the breast milk, and that actually will set up a inflammatory reaction that way. A lot of the formulas out there will actually be cow-based protein as well. Both situations will actually cause a lot of inflammatory reaction in the intestines, and not so fun, just a lot of fussiness, and the baby will seem to be in pain and very inconsolable at times. And you'll notice that there will be maybe a little bit of blood-tinged stool and some potentially increased bowel movements, not necessarily diarrhea where it's just runny all the time, but definitely a lot more stooling. And this will actually occur also in formula-fed babies as well, because a lot of the over-the-counter types of formulas will actually be based on cow protein as well. So how's this diagnosed? Well, the best way to diagnose this is that if you suspect that there's a problem, there's a lot of fussiness, to go ahead and eliminate any kind of dairy from your diet if you're breastfeeding, or change the formula to something that's not based on cow protein. And if you notice that the symptoms improve, then you have your answer. There really isn't a good reason to do any skin prick testing or what's called a RAS testing. That's R-A-S-T, RAS testing, because those are going to be mainly allergy related. And now I know that a lot of people call this a milk protein allergy, but really it's going to be an inflammatory reaction and won't produce the same type of results in the blood test as, say, that a true allergy would. And so it's not a good idea to go ahead and try these other tests. Now, it's always important to look at other causes of blood in the stool. I talked about cow protein sensitivity being where there's fussiness and there's blood in the stool, but actually, anal fissure is actually the most common cause. So babies become constipated, they push through their poop, and it actually will cause a tear. And every time the baby poops, there actually will be a lot of discomfort. This is actually more common than cow protein sensitivity, and actually occurs less than 1 year of age. That's something that is actually easily diagnosed. Now, what are some concerning signs and symptoms? Say that you have a baby that has some amount of pain and there's some blood. Well, a sudden onset of progressive pain, particularly as it's getting worse, and there might be some legs that come up to the abdomen. Those might be some reasons to go ahead and see a doctor pretty promptly. And other things like, for example, vomiting with a very enlarged abdomen or distended abdomen are very concerning, and reasons to see a doctor very promptly, potentially even going to the emergency room if you find that to be the case. Well, enough of the scary stuff. I don't want to scare anybody, but let's get back down to cow protein sensitivities. Take dairy out of your diet and you'll actually notice the baby will improve. Now, you really have to take all types of dairy, so milk, butter, yogurt, ice cream, cheese. These are all actually potentially offending agents. You actually have to be very careful, and whatever you eat, be sure to look at the back of the food package, because labeled in the nutritional information, you actually be surprised about how much is actually out there that has dairy in it. It's actually in plain English these days. It's very easy to do. So just look at the back. Now, eating out is also very problematic. And so you might want to consider certain websites that list out restaurants that will be able to accommodate your situation. You want to actually ask for a dairy allergy, and I know that's not an allergy, but you might just be simple to the waiter and say that I have an allergy to dairy, and they'll be able to give you something like that. And you want to be specific, because there's a lot of cross-contamination. They'll cook different types of foods on the same grill. They may promise you that there's no dairy in the products, but if they cook the food in the same grill as the other stuff, then it doesn't do you any good. And so just be very careful when it comes to that. Now, how long will it take, say that you're on this diet or you change the formula, and how long will it take for the baby to actually improve? Well, so for the most case, it'll be about 72 hours, right? 72 hours. But in some situations, it actually will take up to 2 weeks. So I would actually do a dairy-free situation and a dairy-free diet for about 2 weeks before giving up altogether. Now, what if symptoms do not improve? Oh my gosh, that's tough. Oh my gosh, the world is ending. But there's still hope in the breastfed situation. it's actually be a little hard. So you have to actually go to a no soy diet. So you have to be a no dairy diet, no soy diet, and that's pretty intense because a lot of things actually have soy these days. Now, in the formula-fed babies, there actually are a little more options, and so there's what's called the Isomil type of formula. That's going to be a soy-based formula. It's called Isomil, I-S-O-M-I-L, right? So a lot of people go to that one first, and that's fine, but it's actually, why not just go ahead and go to what's called a hydrosylated formula, which is actually a notch up from that. And so hydrosylated formulas, they actually will just make the formulas a lot easier to digest. So examples of these formulas would be Similac Alimentum, Nutri-Jamil Lipo, and Pressure-Jamil, right? So I'll go ahead and include those on the list down below, and these are actually quite easily to digest. Now, even still, about 5 to 10% of babies are actually intolerant to the hydrosylated formulas. And so what do you do then? Well, it's important to actually even go past that. They actually make formulas that are even easier to digest. And so this is basically the most expensive way to do it, but they'll cut up the protein into its basic forms called amino acids. So they're basically amino acid formulas. So they're still getting the nutrition, but it does all the digestion for them. They don't have to digest any of the proteins at all. Examples include Elecare Infants, Neocate Infants, and Pure Amino. So a lot of people ask, will my baby grow out of this condition? So I mean, is all hope lost? It's like, no, I mean, there is definitely hope. So about 50% of babies will actually improve and grow out of the situation in about 6 months. So they just get better regardless. 95% will actually resolve their symptoms completely at 9 months of age. So they'll grow out of it even then. And nearly all babies about 1 year of age will actually grow out of it completely. So that there's a lot of hope in that way. So how do you know that your baby has grown out of it? Great question, So it's actually going to be a lot of trial and error. You just do a dairy-free trial. So if you're limiting dairy from your diet and you're about 6 months of age, you're wondering, should I go ahead and just find out whether the baby's grown out of it? Well, go ahead and do a dairy trial. Just do just one product, eat something one time. Wait about 2 weeks. You should see symptoms. They're going to come back about 3 days. But you generally want to see about 2 weeks. Wait about 2 weeks. You'll know your baby has not grown out of it yet because the fussiness will recur. If you eat dairy every single day, then you're going to have to wait that many more days. So just do one thing at a time. And the same thing goes with the formula situation. So if your baby's formula fed, say that you're on an amino acid, go down to hydrosylated. If you're hydrosylated formula, go down to what's called the cow-based protein. And same sort of situation. The fussiness will come back and whatnot. If that's the case, then if the symptoms do come back in both situations, go ahead and wait another 3 months and then try again, because maybe your baby might grow out of it at that time. So a lot of people worry about, is this genetic? Am I gonna worry about babies down the road? Should I just should I make measures then? It's not genetic. I wouldn't worry about it. There's actually no connection, your first child versus your second child versus, I don't know, your fourth or fifth. There is no actual evidence to show that just because one baby had it doesn't necessarily mean the next baby will have it. So I wouldn't worry about it there. So now the reason why I actually like talking about this is that our baby actually had this condition, and we were first-time parents. We were very excited, and so we knew that's going to be tough. We were ready. We're every 3 hours waking up, and so I knew that was coming. But it just didn't seem to get better over the several months. Why was he not getting any better? And we thought, well, it's colic. Well, we thought it was reflux, and so we tried all of that. It was on reflux medicines. We had him laying, sitting up at an angle and all that kind of stuff, and it just didn't work. And so his situation was a little different because he's actually had cow protein sensitivity. We eliminated everything from her diet, Sherry, my wife's diet, and she the symptoms improved. We waited 3 days, and so he was sleeping throughout the whole night. The blood in the diaper wasn't there anymore. He wasn't having as many runny stools, and it was just a different baby. He was happy, and it was just amazing. Life was good. Life was great. And because it was just the dedication of being on a specific diet and finding the resources, although it was tough, we were still able to accommodate for that, and we were still able to breastfeed. We tried a dairy trial about 6 months of age. Totally just didn't work. I mean, he went back to his old ways of just crying, and so totally failed it. And then at 9 months, we just waited again at 9 months, and we went ahead and included something in my wife's diet, and it was amazing. So it's all the symptoms did not come back, and so he finally grew out of it at 9 months. And so there is hope out there, and I definitely encourage people to breastfeed. I'm just a shameless plug. I am just biased. Breastfeeding is just the greatest thing, just from a medical side, and they're just not as sick. And I know that I don't want to guilt anybody and all that. I understand situations and whatnot. Everyone's different in their circumstances. Overwhelmingly, we're just so committed. And so I want to encourage people, if they are committed as well, there is hope out there. So we had to try really hard. We eliminated everything from our diet as far as dairy goes. We're still able to breastfeed, and we're still breastfeeding now at 9 months of age. And we plan to continue that until the AAP recommends up to about 12 months of age. And so, and that's our goal. So anyway, I hope this is helpful. And it's not going to be all baby related. I'm going to do other topics as well. If you really like these videos and they're helpful to you, go ahead and subscribe. If you have any thoughts, recommendations, and say something that you would like to hear in the next one, just let me know, and I'll take that into consideration. So you guys have a great day. Thanks for visiting, and I'll see you next time.